Yo, what up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a long time. I've been extremely busy, whether that's been working on actual like short film productions to helping other clients with editing stuff. And in the meantime, I've also had to work my 9 to 5. So in all of that, I just really haven't had time to make a video. But all of that being said, I do have time right now. So that's what we'll be doing today. Today, we're gonna be talking about this little guy. This is the Fujifilm X-T4. And this is the camera that I started on basically this whole filming journey. And I really love this camera for what it does and what it can do. And part of the reason why I still have it in my kit today is because of Fuji recipes. Fuji recipes, if you don't know, are kind of like a preset that you can bake into the camera when you take photos. You can only do them in JPEGs, but they're fantastic. It emulates film to a degree that is pretty one-to-one, or at least somewhat in that area. It really takes the stress off of having to take the photos off into your whatever editing software you're using, and instead already has the preset applied to it within the camera. So today I'm going to be going over my favorite ones and the ones that I have already logged in here within the Fujifilm camera. So my specific camera, the X-T4, allows me to hold up to I think 6 different presets. Now, I don't know exactly what it is for any of the earlier versions. I assume the X-T5 can too, and anything that's new after the X-T4. I do know that a friend of mine has the X-T1, and I think you can only put 1 or maybe just a few. Maybe the menu system's just a little bit different, but either way, I'm gonna show you guys the Fuji recipes that I have and how you can actually put them onto the camera and save them here. Again, the X-T4 may be exclusive to holding more than 1 or more than 3, but I would encourage you to just look around and see what's available. Oh, and I do want to say that all of these film emulations that I am mentioning today can be found on the FujiXWeekly app. You can get it through the iOS and I believe the Android store. I only have ever really checked through the iOS app because that's what I use, but I'm pretty sure you can get it through the Android store as well. And FujiXWeekly is kind of like a community culmination of film emulation presets that you can click on, and it'll tell you all the settings that you can adjust within your camera. And it also tells you what cameras which film emulation works on. So for example, with my X-T4, not every film emulation on that app will work with this, which means that I have to kind of dig through and search a little bit and find the ones that are compatible with mine. So if you don't see yours immediately, just keep looking because odds are it's probably on there. And if not, then you can probably look online for other recipes. That app itself is not the end all be all. There are way more online. I just use the app for its ease of use and ease of access. So taking a look at the actual presets that I have saved right now, I have Kodak Portra 400, Ilford HP5 Plus 400, Kodak Ultramax 400, Bright Summer, which is kind of someone's interpretation of a film stock, CineStill 800T, which is great for night stuff. And then I also have one that's just completely unedited, just in case I want to go into the actual editor and make any changes myself. Kodak Portra 400, very infamous film stock. People use it all the time, and especially when it comes to portraiture and kind of professional work. And to be honest with you, I kind of say the same with the film emulation of it. When you load it into your Fujifilm camera, I would honestly say I pretty much just reserve it for portraitures or any type of more professional looking things that I need to do. Now granted, if I'm doing professional work, I'm gonna shoot in RAW, and that doesn't necessarily get applied to the RAW images. However, if I'm doing something that I wanna look professional and wanna look good, I typically use Kodak Portra 400. And the way that I shoot with this is that I'll either do it at exact exposure or I'll overexpose by 1 stop just to kind of give me a little bit more of a creamier highlight. Moving on, the Ilford HP5 Plus 400 is a fantastic film emulation. I love this one because of the ability for me to shoot in low light. Now, whenever you get into low light situations, a lot of the times these film emulations kind of start to break and they don't look as good. A lot of them require a lot of either natural light or a lot of fake light. When it comes to the black and white Ilford HP Plus, it's amazing because you don't need a ton of light. In fact, it just makes the photos look even better. There's a lot of contrast to them. A lot of the whites and the highlights and the lights that are actually being emulated within the scene that you're in just exaggerate the contrast even more. I really love using Ilford HP Plus for nighttime stuff or stuff with not a lot of color. That's typically what I reserve it to. In fact, anytime it goes after 7 p.m. and the sun starts to dip, that's kind of when you start to see me switch to that one, just because it's a safe bet. And I know that whenever I do take a picture with it, no matter how high I crank the ISO or how low I crank the shutter, it'll look great regardless. Next up is the Kodak Ultramax 400. This is another really great one. I typically reserve it for very bright, sunny situations. It has a very deep color contrast to everything. Like if you take photos with it, you'll realize that a lot of the colors that you see tend to be very like contrasty. And that's by design. Kodak Ultramax, the actual film stock itself, is very much the same way. When I can get my hands on Kodak Portra 400, I almost exclusively use Ultramax 400. I love the colors, I love the punchiness of it. I love what it does to people's faces and the skin tones. It just makes it ever so slightly like green bluish, and I love that. So if you ever do use Kodak Ultramax 400, I would recommend using it outside in bright sunny situations or whenever you're like shooting through shade. I really like that too. Creating interesting shapes with shade is a really great thing to do when it comes to photography. So yeah. Next up, let's talk about Cinestill 800T. Now, Cinestill is one of those nighttime film stocks that is, again, infamous. It's infamous for a reason. It's 800T, which means its base ISO is 800, and the T stands for tungsten, which means that a lot of the times when you shoot in these low light scenarios, a lot of tungsten lights are gonna be used. And on the film stock, it's really great because it'll help level out the warmness of those tungsten lights and kind of bring them back to a cooler blue. And with 800T on this camera, kind of a similar thing. It's not going to be an exact one-to-one. 800T is a very beautiful film stock, and the camera does its best to try to emulate that, but obviously we're not going to be able to get a one-to-one. That being said, I have used it in some nighttime scenarios, and it's great. You know, I'll take pictures of neon signs, and it really just blows up what that neon sign is doing. It just looks super cool, and the grain on it is really nice. Yeah, 800T is fantastic for nighttime stuff. If I'm not using the Ilford Plus, then I am using the 800T. That's just kind of the way that I have things set up for like my nighttime stuff. If I'm not using one, then I'm using the other. And then last, but certainly not least, probably my favorite one out of all of the whole bunch is this Bright Summer one. Now, Bright Summer, I'm not entirely sure what film stock is trying to emulate. I think it's just someone got creative and adjusted some settings and then found something they really liked. But it is extremely, extremely warm. When you think of like summertime, this is that film emulation. This is exactly what it's trying to replicate. Like you look back at your nostalgic time, like maybe growing up, your favorite place when you were younger, and you have that sort of like warm glow to it in your mind. That's what this is. It does exactly that. It's very warm. The colors are kind of pastel-y. I would really recommend using this in direct sunlight. I think that's where it really shines. I took it to the pool not too long ago to take some photos, and I think they look fantastic. I think other than that, I kind of overexposed them ever so slightly. And if I could go back and do it again, I would just probably shoot at regular exposure. For this one, you definitely can overexpose it. If I do, I wouldn't go past a stop, but I do find that I like them a bit more if I'm shooting like at exposure, if I'm shooting it at 0. That's just kind of my preference. I like the contrast, I like the colors, I like the way that the highlights and the shadows kind of play with each other at that time. But you know, if it floats your boat, go ahead and overexpose. I would not underexpose this. I wouldn't underexpose any of these actually. For the most part, I would either shoot at exposure or like maybe a stop above. If you go above that, then you kind of start to lose information and it kind of just looks washed out. But yeah, I cannot recommend Bright Summer enough. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. So yeah, that about rounds up all of the presets that I have within my camera. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it kind of gave you a little bit more of an insight into like the ones that I use and the ones that I typically take photographs with. If you guys have any questions about them, please leave them down below. If you have any other resources to find film emulations, please let me know. I'd be more than interested to try them out. I'm constantly taking this camera everywhere. Now that I have this Blackmagic camera to like actually shoot video on, I take a lot more photos with this. So I'm always interested in trying new things and testing things out. So yeah. With that being said, I will see you guys again soon. Hope you all are doing well. I'm hoping to get you guys like an update on the short film that I'm doing. We got approved to do behind the scenes stuff, so that stuff should be coming shortly. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do so. It's at notdarrengarcia. It'll be in the description below. And subscribe. Again, I'm gonna be pushing content out more. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. Okay, bye.